Well, hello guys. As you can see, we're playing a new game. This is a horror game, at least from what I know. And I am playing this at basically midnight. So, whew, um, let's get started. I hate horror games. So let's see if I can at least get through this one. At least maybe the prologue or something. Alright. I'm so excited. Oh my god. Alright. The wind is really loud right now. I'm like waiting for a jump scare or something. The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twined in the air. They were shouting and laughing and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves there was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Was that fox there the whole time? Hey, put away your book. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. Hide. I didn't protest and put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand after reading it 3 times anyway. Olya had already finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic she almost looked like your typical girl from commercials. You're not going anywhere until you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of the previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Costia Odyssey. I loved that show. Whoa! What? And say... ignore? I don't know if that was on purpose, or if my game actually crashed for a second. Or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. I still don't know if that was like serious or if that was part of the game. Did my game crash? What did I just say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this carved on the other side of the table? Karina? That's not an R. Karina? Huh, that's my mom's name. I guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal, damaging the furniture like that. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? Nah, she's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. I imagine her being my age, sitting under this table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? Or the sounds coming from the attic? Why'd the music stop? Turn it back up. Or the thick forest? I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed, where Olya sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Taigya is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out, trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusations. Our parents used to love each other back then. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She'd already bought a casket, and she called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet, patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change since the time she was alive. Only all of the photos were gone. Glass-covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olya was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze toward the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass. Olya, look, it's a fox. Where? It looked almost like those optical illusion thingies they put on the back of students' notebooks. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle. Not outside, on the window. Look, here's the nose, and here's... Hey, eat up. Yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up, there's not much left. Ah, there it is, but it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you it does. Nuh-uh. It does. Stop it. These kids, I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty pattern, similar to stretched out nettle leaves, kept creeping up the glass. What did Dad scare me? My dad entered the kitchen with long, measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. Mom would always ask, jokingly, "Come on, shave it off, it stings." This was so long ago. Nowadays, rumbling doors and witty comebacks were an everyday occurrence. Olya always covers her ears whenever she hears something like, "What's the point in all this?" through the wall. "It's all for your sake," Dad would reply, "for the sake of our family." I always caught every sound in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. D-I-V-O. I don't even want to finish it. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different families. Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window. You and your owl will talk again? You said you believed me just yesterday. Has anybody seen my car keys? I remember leaving them on the windowsill. Right. Maybe you did, and maybe not. You're a grown man, a father of two, and still... Karina, please stop. Just let me get ready in peace. Your keys are in the basket near the phone. Well, thank you very much. And stop making a martyr out of yourself and finish eating already. And the owl? There was no owl. But there was one. It had giant glowing eyes. Oh. Olya sprung up from the chair and placed her hands on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers the size of an apple each. Last year you had bye in your closet, and now this owl? But I saw it. Olya shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice? Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. Olya pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he just found. A minute had passed, and the theme song from The Little Mermaid echoed through the house. It was stored on incredibly worn-out cassette tapes, which Dad had already had to glue together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example. But how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved to the living room and was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Olya had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn or curl up into a ball under her blanket. You stop those noises in my ear right now. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped to take her mind off all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Okay. And then Olya said she saw that giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olya refused to sleep alone and didn't believe that the owl was just one of her nightmares. After tonight, I was unsure what to make my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? Just last night, I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect in my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. I hate this music. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids. But all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and pairs of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if something completely different creatures were looking at me from behind the flat, black silhouettes. Their cruel glares, filled with icy sneers, made me shiver from head to toe. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down, stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The school can burn for all I care. I just wished for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who are just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider, or some sort of a monster. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olya begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine my mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You've got the wrong number," or "Anton is not around. Anton is not around." I imagine my future classmates lying in their beds just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to the most beautiful woman on the planet, my mom. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. The condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with the TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. It's taking all my willpower to click next. All the time. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners, on the closet, cobwebs, and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my diseased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaky, rusty drains were moaning, the attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was, in fact, hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. It was mixed in with the sound of the wind, of the creaking old house, and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. It's not like someone is playing it there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Oh, you're making me have to... Someone was dancing in the field. Black silhouettes I could barely make out, with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around and crawled on all fours. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Nope. Nope. Suddenly, the music had stopped. The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear pierced me with their eyes. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the... It glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like the bird inside a cage. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back towards the bed. You know, maybe this is where we stop. No, okay. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room and listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around, looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself with a blanket as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remembered the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll, ants running up and down the legs of chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures... Oh, I hate the music. Oh, no. Climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets, and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure. And now, lying under the blanket and listening to squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. On the island of Bayan, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of colored blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ashen hair for the spawn from devil's lair to feast and always leave alone God's faithful servant named Anton. Evil leave this house must. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. Bizarre sounds had disappeared. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw Kurt. Nope. Nope. I'm just gonna tell you how I'm sitting right now. The way I put my computer, I am facing directly, into a wall, and then to my left is my door, and then right behind me is another door. So currently, I have my chair angled, facing both of them. So if my voice sounds a little weird, like little distance, it's because I'm trying to make sure I can see both my doors at the same time. That's when you know you've made a good horror game. So let's try to continue without backing out, because I need to get this video done. I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hangman. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched my eardrums. Nope, okay. In reality, something or someone were scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently, as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilled the door with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of darkness. And then... No. Oh no. I'm gonna turn down my volume a little bit. The doorknob twitched slightly. Then it turned halfway once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. I am currently not looking at my screen. The doorknob tilted once more, and then... Did it just open? Oh, no. Started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched the blanket. Was that the door opening? No. No. Okay, I don't know who the creators are of this game, but you did very, very good job. Really nice job. Great. The door creaked and opened. The wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness writhed inside the... I'm turning my volume down, sorry. The darkness writhed... Oh my god, I can't say the word. Inside the carnivorous mouth of a doorway. Tony. It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of my room. My AC just started. It made me jump. Waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Tony. My abdomen tightened, and my chest... Is that an eye? Oh my god. And my chest rose, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, "Is it Olya? Is that our sister?" Tony, you asleep? I hate scary games. I hate them. My sister's pale face protruded from the thick shadows. I almost screamed from relief. Olya? Who's ever moving their trash can outside? Can you not do that at, like, the middle of the night, please? Olya, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Olya frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign that she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Shoo her away, Tony, please. I'm so scared. The fear that was tormenting me just a moment ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olya down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's gonna harm you. Olya sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video. Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? That question took me by surprise. Same here. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy. What was that? What studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon? The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with the feast of lard and long ashen hair. Tony, you coming? Yes, just a moment. Oh my god. That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olga and her owl in the morning. That got me. Okay. Also, I'm not crying. I have allergies. And they're being really bad right now. Okay, let me just gather myself real quick before I continue. Because that whole section, I was not looking at my computer until the very end, because I thought it was Olya, so I was like, oh my god, yeah, we're fine now. We got through the scary part. It was all just, suspense. It was not just suspense. Nope. Not just suspense. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent. I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guests could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet. Under the table. Behind the curtains where Olya always hides. Tony, come here. I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged them toward the hallway. A couple of policemen towered over me in the doorway. They smelled like frost and worry. My mom always winced and grumbled the moment she saw patrol cars. Worse than bandits. At the moment, though, she looked somewhat confused. Hello? The senior officer, who wore a grim expression, nodded. A boy had gone missing yesterday. His name's Vova. Look at this, please. Have you seen him? The policeman held out a photograph to me. There was a ginger boy around the age of elementary school pictured with a wall carpet as the backdrop. He had a striped cat in his hands and wore a wide smile. No, I haven't. Are you sure? Look closely. Where would I see him? I don't know anyone around here. I barely leave the house. Well, maybe you've seen him from the window. That's right. Your windows look straight at the forest, don't they? The window. No, I haven't seen anything. I see. He sounded tired, but his eyes, his stare, long and heavy, was full of suspicion. I don't know what do any of these buttons do? Oh, we can save. Alright. I'm gonna save real quick. I squirmed, unwittingly under the weight of guilt, which his giant shadow cast over me. The policeman finally tore his eyes from me and glanced over the hallway, the stairway, and the cracks in the ceiling, which I haven't noticed before for some reason. How do you like your new place, by the way? Getting used to it? Bit by bit. It's just our little daughter misses the city a lot. Misses the city, huh? Have the locals been treating you well? Yes, everything is all right, thank you. Oh, what happened? The policeman pierced through me one more time with his gray eyes. My head started spinning. Can I help you somehow? I asked that in a shaky voice to look like a polite boy and to end this unpleasant conversation sooner. Now that I think about it, you look just like one of my nephews, little fella. He's a witty boy around your age. Wears the same type of goggles. Always engrossed in reading those mystery novels. Told me he wants to enroll in police school when his family visited this summer. Wanted to help other people just like me, see? I felt uncomfortable, as if a distant relative and not a police officer stood before me. You know what? Little boys like you should stay at home. Steer away from trouble. The times have changed so much. Mom interjected in a cold voice. You don't say. Well then. What grade are you in, Tony boy? 6? Have you made any friends here so far? Not yet. I'm going to school for the first time after the break. Then. I'll leave you my number, just in case. Call me if you have any new info. The policemen were gone along with their shadows, the smell of cheap cologne and the photo of a smiling boy. His face still stood before my eyes. I wondered what it was like for him, being all alone, there. For some reason, I thought of the forest, swaying in the wind. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I had gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Or would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually? Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it. Poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police, UAZ, drove off toward the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old paint from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries there. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footsteps that led to the forest, and then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy, and I'll get a reward. Olya will be so happy. And not only Olya, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe I'll even save us from the D word. I fantasized about buying Olya a Tamagotchi and getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself, and a whole box of Kinder Surprise. When was the last time my parents bought us any toys? Last autumn, I think. My dad had lost his job at the time. There's that annoying song about it. I had little to no idea what was the accountant's job like. They count money, I think. Neighbors used to envy us. But nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had money to afford sweets, and Dad will always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olya. Sometimes I gave her my share too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. I couldn't wait to go out looking for clues. I'm going outside! Yeah, right. You want the police to go around with your photograph next? The forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals? Or something even worse? Even worse echoed through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said, or should I repeat myself? Better go pack your school bag or play with Olya. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. The dark, stuffy closet. Mom says it smells like mice, but how would she know their smell? She hates when I stick my nose in there. She's afraid I'll cut myself from the freshly sharpened axe, and Olya can't even be lured close to it. She thinks Babai is living there. I tried to help her fight her fears once. I opened the door and turned on a dim lamp so she would see there was nothing but cobwebs, Dad's tools, and scratched walls. She still didn't believe me. And I'd like to hide in that closet and listen to Olya count outside. 1, 2, 3, better hide from me. And then drag her feet on the creaking floorboards, hoping that she wouldn't need to look for me in the monster's den. It was difficult to lie to Mom, but there was no other way for me to run from home. Mom, something's wrong with the TV. The picture is dim and there are stripes all over the screen. Mom's face became visibly distorted. You're killing me here. So have you had enough of shooting those stupid ducks now? Told you the kind scope will go dim because of your console. Where will we find a TV technician in this hole, huh? Maybe it's just the steadings? Please go see for yourself. Strange, it worked fine in the morning. Maybe the snowfall caused it? Mom rubbed her hands clean on her apron and went to Olya's room. Grandma kept ice cream for me and Olya there, but now I could only see meat bits for soup and clumped together pelmeni. I grew to hate them already. Oh, I opened the front gate and went into the field, carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half the distance toward the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of the day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there, distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me. And a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. Everything was silent. So silent I felt like the world was totally empty. No ground, no sky, no parents, no Olya. The time reached its limit, a one-way trip that ended at the forest's piney stockade. Sometimes silence was much scarier than any scream. Our parents would scream at each other while arguing, and both me and Olya turned to stone, listening to them. But then always came the ringing silence. Our apartment became numb a couple of days before we departed. It was hard to remember the last time Mom and Dad joked around, laughing, or spent time together, almost like all of it was in a previous life. When they kissed with Olya present, she always frowned and snorted in a funny way. But one day it all changed. Something important had left our home, and something scary filled the remaining void. It was as if a fire broke up, and our parents were hurriedly packing our belongings, trying to save themselves and us. From who, though? From the people with dead, cold eyes who sometimes visit us in our previous home? The eyes that only saw balls of worms on the black ground and everything? And somewhere far away, a siren was going off, trying to warn us of the coming menace. I shuddered, chasing away my delusions, and looked around. There were only me, this white field, and the wind that was whipping up icy dust and belts of powdered snow. I squinted from the sun and turned my eyes to the sunless forest. I looked especially dark in contrast with the blinding whiteness. Knobby tree roots slithered under the snow like fat snakes. Rotten leaves and coniferous needles froze into the ice. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest, or were they keeping something from breaking out? Some object was hanging from one of the pointy branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow, and when I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? Their senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. He was also always anxious, with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vova! I heard a distant shout. Looked like it came from the river. Vova! As if the trees were calling out to someone. Vova! Resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there behind the trees. Hiding. Vova! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still. Something was unsettling about that figure. Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally toward the ground. Its blackness. There's no one there, just branches and roots. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. I looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. Nope. I'm not looking. I'm literally not looking. Not gonna look. Okay. I think that does it for now. I'm gonna save, and we can continue where we last left off next time. Alright, great. No, but seriously, okay. This is where I end it. Next time, I guess it's gonna be a part 2. I didn't know this game was gonna be so long. But next time, we can continue on with the story and hopefully not get as scared as I was before. So sorry about that. I didn't expect this to be actually like super duper scary. I was expecting like jump scares, but like nothing like this. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This was super fun, besides me getting really scared, but this was super fun, and I can't wait to do a part 2 on this. If I can do the part 2. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, hopefully this is a good video, and I can't wait to see you next time for part 2 of, I believe it's called Tiny Bunny? Yep, of Tiny Bunny. Bye-bye.